Step. Ladies and gentlemen, buckle up. It is time for the finals here for the UMG Prime at $750 4v4 Search and Destroy here on March 31st. It's myself, Lando Sanders, guiding you guys through the action here live from the UMG studio tonight. Like we said, it is TMT going up against L7, a best of three to decide who will become victors for tonight's Prime tournament. Tiny kicking things off with a nice snipe. Kurtboy as well, adding on to that total. As half the lobby drops in a matter of moments, it's now Mohximus left in a 1v2. If you just watched the last series, we know that this man is capable of clutches. Of course, if you are coming from Twitter as well, you are familiar with that insane 1v3 clip that he had on London Docks. However, much different opponent, much different situation and map combination. And Mohximus not having a similar success. It will be Kurtboy and Nelson dropping him down for a first-round victory toward the side of TMT. And kind of keeping in mind USS Texas, we actually got to watch both teams play this map. And funny enough, for L7, they actually won this one versus their prior opponents in the semifinals in a hot 6-0. For TMT in their quarterfinal matchup when they played USS Texas, they won theirs in a 6-1. So both teams feeling very confident when it comes down to a map like this one. Snipe's going to be very influential. Both teams had a lot of success with that weapon. It looks like off the break, ImUzii somehow finds the headshot onto, I can't remember who exactly what player that was, but from TMT. It looks like RRemarks actually bringing out the shotty. All right. Oh, my gosh. That man just totally broke his back. If not, he already died. But you get my point. Either way, it's gory as brass knuckles are out, clearly, after that strat there. And right now, I know Nelson, and I know Nelson's like, okay, all right. Cracking his knuckles, like backs up in his chair. All right. I see how it is. Let's do this. Let's dance. Nelson and co. From TMT now on offense as they look to reset after that last round. Wanting to close this one out quick and fast. RRemarks tries to enter in toward the top of those stairs, but receiving a nice headshot. Actually coming in from Nelson. Who else? TCM spotting just the side angle there of Dave. TCM had a phenomenal series in their quarterfinal matchup. It was a part of numerous top fragging moments, whether in wins and or losses. Mohximus dropping one yet again in another clutching situation, would need the ace in this round and better yet a 1 versus 4. However, none of those titles will be awarded this time around, as TCM will be there for the silence. And when we talk about USS Texas, the influential ability of those snipers, and when you have a guy like Tiny on your team, especially when it comes to search and destroy, and especially on a map like USS Texas, it can be very nerve-wracking to want to try to track on either one of these side lanes, whether on the A-bomb site or the B-bomb site. It looks like swapping over toward the PPSH for now is Tiny. Not sure if that's just for the sprint loadout or if he's going to be going with this weapon, but it looks like he is going to be rocking with the PPSH. Offensive team being L7. Tacticals, lethals being dropped from either side. The fast reaction from Tiny as he literally explodes out the door. Same time, Nelson finding one. Goodbye to Mohximus and RRemarks. Last alive with a shotgun and a dream. It's ready for combat, and Nelson is not happy with this. He is not happy with this. And RRemarks is like, all right, you guys want to challenge me? Let's dance. Let's try it. I don't think hit markers are like actually that accurate. Not Fortnite. It's COD. Shotguns, not going to do it in every situation. TCM narrowly actually dodges that 12 gauge in that situation. Literally tucks right around cover as the shotgun blast will nearly split his head. Stays up, and 3 rounds to 1 is now for TMT. As Dave continuing to have struggles. He ended up finishing off 1-9 in their last map victory. Their round 11 victory in their semifinal matchup actually had all of his teammates finishing off, his other 3 teammates, finishing in double figures. As he is back on track now, finding that kill. Kurtboy watching His teammate TCM kind of referenced back as Tiny, yet again, being a nuisance with that sniper rifle, up to 6 and 3. Can do it all when it comes down to this game. Same thing with TCM. He explodes for 2. And now it's ImUzii, a 1v3 scenario. They built their last series win on clutches. However, in this matchup, it is much more difficult, it seems, at least on USS Texas. There's a nice re-challenge there coming in from Mr. T-Clam. Good old TCM. Good friend of mine. Great guy. And also, very solid Call of Duty player. Currently triple positive after 5 rounds of play, holding out that bar and letting it go to work. As we talk about dominance on USS Texas, I thought that at least the first map would be a lot closer than what we've been seeing, but when it comes down to overall experience, the knowledge from guys like Nelson and TCM, very well-known players amongst the Call of Duty community, and Tiny as of recent, they do have a ton of knowledge when it comes down to this game, though. The shots continue forward. Tiny with the nice cooked nade. Makes Dave eat it, and it looks like Mohximus, well, he was escaped with 1, also finds the second onto Nelson. Dolphin diving his way to at least an escape for now. He's going to need the ace in this situation and cannot shut down TCM. Round by round we go, and 1v2 and 1v3 situations are not spelling well for L7. And who would they spell well for? Right now, TMT is doing a fantastic job at getting that early information, finding out those first bloods, especially what Tiny has been doing. Information is currency. And right now, TMT is rich. 5-1. Dominating right now on this first map. Keeping in mind, finals is a best of 3. TCM walks away with yet again another kill, first blood found, as here comes the mortar strike, putting it down in the enemy spawn. 2 players trying to weather the storm as yet again another snipe coming forward from Tiny. Mohximus and Dave both up. Dave's position is known. Having the airborne class on will reveal his position from streaks. But it looks like he could be behind enemy lines right now. Spots out Tiny, but Tiny is still up. He's still breathing, but for how much longer? Spots out Mohximus. This should be an easy kill. Goes for the accidental mantle there. And Mohximus should be shut down any time. Goes for the turn on. And while he does find the kill on Tiny, we still see the same result. Another round, and in the end, a victory here for TMT as they dominate their way to a first map victory in this series. On USS Texas, we have not seen, we've had 3 series where USS Texas has been the map. Both of these teams in the finals right now have been involved, obviously, in those 2 series. And we've not seen one team who loses get more than 2 rounds. We've seen either a 6-0 or 6-1. Insane stuff. But I was talking about TCM or T-Clam heading into this map, how well he's been playing, and he absolutely goes to show it as well in here. And it wasn't even about the first bloods for this guy. I mean, you talk about a guy, okay, well, he's finding the first blood, that's how he's getting so many kills. He had like 1 first blood, at least heading into, what was it, round 7? Absolutely going off. TCM being a major difference maker when it comes down to this series. Of course, if you're new to our UMG events broadcast, when it comes down to our graphics, we got some awesome stuff. Of course, bottom left corner being the key. It's going to let you guys know to kind of overall breakdown as far as how these exact rounds went, not just about the kills normally, but in this one, obviously, it is straight about just eliminating the enemy team. TMT, of course, succeeded in that quite a bit, only losing the round number 2. But despite that, though, like I said, a 6-1 victory, a solid showing from TMT. And right now, right, if you're L7, when you look at their victories, a lot of them were off of clutches. A lot of them were based off of big moments where guys were going off. Unfortunately for them, they're not going to have a London Docks, which I feel like is a very solid map for them. Granted, they did go to a round 11, but the way that they were playing on that map, at least holding down the A-bomb site, which isn't as important to mention, but just the way they were able to kind of hold a certain site, they just were on a different level when it kind of came down to it. So I think when it comes down to the overall map set of what is this series, which of course we've already seen USS Texas, map 2 now being Arden Forest, and if we do have a map 3, it would be on Sainte Marie du Mans. As far as both of these teams, we did see TMT play Sainte Marie du Mans already. They actually won that one in a 6-4 fashion versus AFS in their quarterfinals. And for L7, we have not seen them play a Sainte Marie, but we have seen them play an Arden Forest, where they actually lost that in round 11. So you talk about a map, right, on USS Texas. They dominated that team in a 6-1 fashion. However, the game prior, they lost a round 11 to that same team on this exact map. So it's kind of like, at least based off statistics, or at least based off their last opponents, they're amazing at USS Texas, not the greatest at Arden Forest. Well, you just got dominated on the map that you're supposed to be better at. So I'm not really sure what to say here for L7. Of course, clutches, you know, you can kind of call them as they may be, was a major part of their success in their prior victories, but facing off against a team like TMT is a much different story. A lot of solid players when it comes down to this roster, and you kind of go down the paper here. Tiny, Nelson, Kurtboy, TCM, very solid players overall, so not going to be easy to drop this team, as you're going to need an overall strong performance from everybody. I know Dave has not had the best last few maps, but we'll see what he can try to do. Of course, trying to lead on his squad here when it comes to Arden Forest. It's getting cold. It's not getting silent, though. Nades, shots, getting ready to rain from the weapons. As we load in here for map number 2, could quite literally be the final map of tonight's tournament. RRemarks firing his way through that mid-map position. He's in Forest with a shotty and a dream. Takes down one off the break, and Tiny last up. Sniper versus shotgun. This is not an often fight that we see. But in a close quarter situation, take your pick, sniper and or shotgun. I'm probably going to be going with a shotgun. But when you talk about Tiny's sniper rifle, though, it can be a little bit different. The sniper bullet whistles past the ear of RRemarks, but he can't hear it over the astounding presence that a shotgun brings to a fight. First round found from the boys on L7, and a good start for them as well, keeping in mind when it comes in offense, never a fun time to be on that side, and to kind of get that out of the way could progress yourself to an early 2-0 beginning. But offense underway, early nades tossed out inside of that B-dom position. It's not affecting anyone off the break. RRemarks quickly, though, to hop inside of that position. At least 3 players toward the front side of B2 instead of U. 1 toward statue side and 1 toward backside bridge spawn, as ImUzii does drop 1. TCM, though, is at least able to try to even the man count out, but not for much longer. Tiny ends up following, and this should be back-to-back rounds granted for L7. TCM firing that bullet does reveal its position, but drops Mohximus regardless. And one positive if you're TCM in this situation is that at least you do have the element of surprise. The longer he waits, the more they start to think that a flank could be possible. Spots the head of RRemarks, but RRemarks has the last laugh in this round. TCM not able to do it, of course, was the LMS, a.k.a. the last man standing, as Corey Dunn used to say. But not able to find it in that situation. And you got back-to-back rounds, like you said, man. Winning that first offensive round is huge, and I'm curious, do we have any more shotguns being brought out? It looks like not for now, but you never know when they could make a surprise. It looks like player number 3 is going to be ImUzii, maybe just watching the early push toward cave. Maybe aware of some team strats that usually come out from the opposition, but nothing coming from it now. Playing very passively off the start is L7, as it looks like TCM drops RRemarks early. Mohximus being aware of that position, tries to take him down. I don't think he got the hit marker with his weapon. Tried to form him out. Nice play coming in from Tiny. You talk about being in a position where your back's against the wall and just doing anything possible to try to make your mark happen on a round. Ends up dropping 2 kills, and along with that, we'll find the first one here for TMT. It was not easy by any means, but still a very awkwardly played round there coming in from L7. They kind of just hang out in the back of the base. They kind of are almost like kind of discussing with one another in the game. Do you want to go toward the A side? Nah, let's actually go toward the B side. And they kind of just hang out, almost as if they knew that TMT had like streaks or something. But without winning a round, you like to think that streaks are not possible. So none of those thoughts were obviously coming in. But still just kind of a sporadic round, maybe some comms coming through that disagreed with one another. But it looks like that smoke tossed out toward the left side of the bus. However, no one is there to receive the repercussions of it. And 2 players dropping early. Dave and RRemarks dropping half of TMT in a matter of seconds. And now TCM and Kurtboy are left to try and battle it out. Backs against the wall in this round here. And we'll see what they can try to pull off. Of course, Kurtboy, the more important of the two when it comes down to status with the objective. And a nice little bait there coming in from TCM. But they're fully aware of it, but Kurtboy finds the kill regardless. A beautiful bait and switch situation from long distance. And RRemarks is still revealing his head. He thought that Uzi had his back, but it's not the case. TCM and Kurtboy are making him look silly. How are they not dead yet? And they should realize if TCM can spot out, hey, no one's kind of toward cabin. We've actually spotted all 3 players. We should be good for the plant, but just as that happens, Kurtboy up close and personal fight. And if he won that one, there was a chance. RRemarks is here for the final 2. Is going to be looking at player streaks heading in toward this next round. See if anyone has progressed toward those. Of course, RRemarks probably going to be the closest, if not the only player in sight or range. Yeah, looks like only player is RRemarks right now. 300 of 625 score. Definitely someone to be looking out for, but having a very solid game right now. 6-1 at TCM. Slowly but surely receiving some of those nades as it looks like Dave does get the final laugh in this situation. Nades coming in from either side, but Tiny actually shuts down one player. His teammate watched that happen just in front of him. Had to cover his eyes, but despite that, both kills happening that quick. This is not at all going the way that I was expecting. I really thought that after a victory like that on USS Texas, you got to be feeling very confident loading into an Arden Forest, but apparently the strategies from L7 are just much more progressed. And in the 1-round victory that TMT has, it was kind of an awkward start-off for L7, where they kind of just stood off in their base and kind of waited around. And it was big plays that came in from Tiny that won them that one almost single-handedly. It looks like the nade gets a little bit too close inside a bunker. Kind of advances rather the player's position up inside a forest, but engagement's happening. Kurtboy drops one. Nelson finds a second, and Mohximus now a 1v3. Make it a 1v2. Bomb going down quick. This is exactly what you want to see if you are a fan of TMT. Getting that objective in your favor and making the scale start to lean in your way as Mohximus thankfully finds the PPSH off the ground, but those walls are frail and TCM's got bullets to fire. Holds the head glitch. It will make Mohximus pay as now taking a look quickly at our scoreboard. It looks like 7-3 for RRemarks, 7-4 for Dave. TCM yet again still playing very solid, 7-4 for him. Or excuse me, 5-4 for him. As he continues to be a nuisance. We'll see, does Tiny actually have anything? No, so nothing really too out of the ordinary for Tiny when it comes down to this class. As it actually looks like he does quickly swap to the M19. Could find someone at home, but take a look at that 4-man stack all the way through the map. Everyone watching a lane, relying heavily off their 1v1 engagements. Is it really a solid spread coming through here for L7? This is very unorthodox to see as they'll finally start to kind of catch up with one another. They found their pick and they're content with it. Spawning out Nelson, they know where Kurtboy is as well. Having the enemy make the mistakes in this situation, but the accidental mantle will work out well for Kurtboy. Tiny now, a 1 versus 2. The Codcaster leaves me on the enemy, or on the dead body point of view. That's unfortunate, man. But at least we get to witness it here. Tiny, in that situation, I mean, I know he knows that a a kill is guaranteed if he gets the timing down, but just a very open position to try and rush toward. But 5 rounds to 2. L7 is turning up. And Dave is playing a lot better than he has been his last 2 maps. Now sitting at 8-4, double positive. 3 out of his 8 kills have came from First Bloods. And it seems that his aggression is working out in rounds like this. Welcome to your 4th First Blood, your 9th kill, and he's continuing with that aggression. It looks like Tiny trying to shut down one. Does find the final kill onto, I believe that was Mohximus. Or at least has the assistance there onto Mohximus. But a very fast-paced play that we're seeing right now in these last few rounds, going at a hair's pace. As it looks like it will be now 5 rounds to 3. TMT trying to make this comeback. As I really want to see the offense here in the situation to see what they can try and provide right now. Dave, like I said, is continuing that aggression, playing very, very well. And it looks like they're going to have somewhat of a mid-map presence. They have been kind of stacking when it comes to their offenses throughout multiple lanes. As Nelson drops one, and as Dave finds the second, they probably have hit marker. So UMG is aware that someone has to be sitting through mid-map, goes for the initial challenge. No one's watching fire. Player just toward his right. His teammate has his back. And now it's Kurtboy left all by himself. A 1 versus 2 to keep this map alive for TMT. Players just behind him, and he is going to get dropped, as we will be seeing a map number 3 in tonight's finals. As L7 clap back here on Arn Forest, winning this one 6 rounds to 3. And I got to say, I'm pretty surprised by this result. I really thought, I mean, based on what was previous matchups, right? Because I said L7 was playing so much better on USS Texas. And then now looking on here at a map that they struggled with when it came down to Arn Forest, they lose the USS Texas in a pretty dominant way. They get destroyed on that map, and yet they come back on the Arn Forest and they win this one 6 rounds to 3. And they were looking great off this break. Let's go and take a look at our box score here when it came down to our search and destroy, as it was all about the kills yet again. But back and forth we went. But really when it came down to consistency, it was all about the guys in the camp from L7, of course, winning 4 rounds out of the first 5, and kind of continuing on that aggression throughout the latter parts of the game. But if you guys haven't done so already, make sure to tweet out the stream. We're headed to map number 3 between L7 and the boys from TMT. Of course, twitch.tv/UMG events. It's about to be an interesting one, to say the least. We've seen shotguns. We've seen sniper. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for potentially, or actually for real, the final time, unless we were to head to another commercial break for some odd reason. You never know. Restarts can happen. Though I did not want to jinx that, though. I did not say that. But of course, guys, we're heading in toward our finals here. The UMG Prime at $750 4v4 search and destroy between TMT and L7. It's getting interesting, to say the least, as we just witnessed the boys from L7 take down TMT on map 2 Arden Forest 6 rounds to 3 after losing the map prior on USS Texas 6 rounds to 1. We've been able to watch both these teams compete so far throughout tonight's tournament, and they look to be pretty interesting competitors, but by no means did I think that after the map 1 scoreline that we'd be visiting St. Marie du Mont. But we're here, we're ready to go, and round 1 is underway. Tiny, man, just I don't know how he hits that shot. Just kind of has a rewind moment there and finishes off RRemarks, but it looks like it will be an early 1v3 situation for Kurtboy. Able to drop 2 and has managed to stay alive. I have no idea how he was one shot for that long and managed to keep his life, but it will be ImUzii versus Kurtboy, and Kurtboy closes it out. A 1v3, and talk about an exclamation point here on St. Marie. ImUzii with the fast reaction time, but not quick enough. Bang, bang for Kurtboy, according to his little calling card at the top. But what a play, man. 1v3 in round 1. That's what I'm expecting from L7. That's what I'm thinking that they can do to bring it back. At least in the prior series, that's what L7 was doing. But Kurtboy, hat trick in round 1. Not far away from streaks. Loading into round 2. As we continue to see this kind of slower pace play on the offense here from L7. That aggression is what we saw in their first series. Now it's looking like they're letting the enemy make the mistakes, letting them run toward and counteract off of it. It looks like the nice side peek. I don't know how the snipe didn't go through for Tiny in that situation. However, Mohximus secures the fight 2v2. And it looks like despite the nade coming in, RRemarks will be able to fade back and stay alive. As it looks like Kurtboy does spot out ImUzii. It looks like he has earned streaks. 100 points away from that mortar strike, but where could RRemarks be hiding? In a pretty normal spot, drops one, and will not stay alive. The last bullet through the fence, as Nelson will find it, and that will be a second round toward the boys on TMT. I mean, that is one bullet that wins you that round there. Unfortunately, since the defuse comes in, we can't take a look at that bronze star, aka the final kill. But I mean, literally the one bullet that he happens to find through that wall to take out the final player. I mean, that is just unreal. As TMT, by the skin of their teeth, have walked away with back-to-back rounds. We'll see how they do here on offense yet again. As L7, definitely a very prestigious competitor. Played so well in tonight's matches. As the streak comes in, information at the least is earned. And it looks like Tiny is content that he spotted someone inside of that red position, whether or not maybe the call-up came through the streaks, drops one through the wall. It looks like RRemarks tries to make his presence known, but unfortunately for him, it will be silence. Bomb being planted, and with a man disadvantage, we'll see how the retake works out. Do they go for both players entering in from red? Do they try to make a pinch from either side? You look at the typical red push as one goes in for the initial kill. Mohximus, I don't know how he's lasering onto these kills, dropping 2, and it looks like Tiny, though, will win the 1v1. The team fight will go the way yet again of TMT, but I have no idea how Mohximus managed to laser on that many people, and he was a bullet away from killing all 3 players. That is unreal. Mohximus, you are not human, sir. Hope you know that. That is unbelievable, despite losing the round. That's insane. But when we start to kind of talk about the positives of losing rounds, you got to keep in mind they're down 0-3. Down 0-3 to start, and they desperately need a round here. When it comes down to having your last map up and not even securing one off the initial 4, it can be very difficult for your overall morale. But here comes the streaks. I believe that one coming in from Kurtboy. Not finding any kills, but maybe earning some of those callouts. At least based on their position, I believe a few players aren't rocking Mountain, so he at least has the idea that this push was going toward B. Whether or not it advances is the question to be asking. As RRemarks finds the nice nade onto Tiny. Beautiful play coming forward, but Kurtboy is not content with letting them inside of the B bomb site. Slams the door. And now Mohximus in another position to clutch. Can he work out this time? But no, the 2 players enter in from that side, and Kurtboy will be able to chalk up the 4th round here for the boys on TMT. 4 rounds in a row. And they want to make this a 6-0 sweep when it comes down to map 3. They want to silence L7. ImUzii and Dave combining for 2 and 8. Dave had such a strong performance, and that last map has kind of been silent leading up into that one, but Tiny gets the angle and will now make Dave a little bit more depressed about his overall score. Uzi, 0-4. Can he shut down Tiny here? Oh my goodness, that snipe. And I believe Uzi actually gets an unfortunate nade toss. It hits the side of the truck. It makes him a little bit weak as Tiny will finish off the final two. Oh, oh my goodness. I didn't even have to look. That's a blind free throw from like Michael Jordan terms as far as basketball. Like, you know, you want to see me try to hit this snipe? I can do it with my eyes closed, man. I don't even have to look. 8-3 right now is Tiny. This guy, man, been watching him play for a while now, kind of leading into the preseason for World War II. Was a dominant player when it came down to Ghosts. And has absolutely showed his skills when it comes down to not even just search and destroy, but as well as respawn. 8-3, dominant snipes in that last round. Nades actually coming forward here from TMT. L7, can they at least find a round? Can they keep this one going? Holding on, but not for much longer. Two players falling. Dave at least finds one. Can Uzi find two? It looks like both coming as far as headshots are considered. A 2 versus 2 now. Nelson and TCM versus Dave and Uzi. Nelson from one side, trying to make his presence known. And can he catch one off? Yes. A beautiful bait and switch situation, and Dave is the last man alive. Drops one. It comes down to a 1-on-1, and will drop Nelson. Big plays coming in from Dave. As in the one situation where it has to happen, it has to go your way, L7 will answer the call, but to no avail, keeping in mind the score differential, 5 rounds to 1. If you're new to Search and Destroy, if you're new to Call of Duty, one more round needed for TMT to win our tournament tonight, to win the Prime. Tiny continuing with that sniper rifle, checking toward the B-bomb site. However, a lot of the action going down just outside of A. RRemarks finds the first blood, and so Nelson starts to realize that, hey, I should probably advance my position, but not if Dave yet again has anything to say about it. And this is the one man they have to be worrying about right now. Dave on a 4 spree. If he can find this kill onto Tiny, having streaks along with momentum heading into future rounds, the rich getting richer, as Tiny with an all to do, a 1 versus 3. Grabs the bomb and has an M19 to work with. Has found 3 first bloods in this game thanks to that trusty M19, but he has to rely on the machine pistol inside a bottom restaurant, but it's this time he who is getting served as Dave paid, continuing, man, to come up in these clutch situations. I talked about how important streaks is, the one guy who they can't afford to let kill them. And Dave is there. Let's see how close Dave is, actually. 7-5, 125 points off. This is it, ladies and gentlemen. If Dave can earn these streaks, there is a chance. He has to play his life very, very well. Has to stay up, but he's known for rushing. He's known for this aggressive play style. And does that affect the offense? Does that affect their offensive push heading in here toward round number 8? He's usually the front line of the offense, but he really needs someone to bait for him. Making an interesting push toward the A site. Does he check this left corner? He does, and nearly 25 points off streaks. Holding on by a thread is L7. Looking incredibly lucky right now, funny enough, as Tiny just in the back lines. With that bar in hand, going to be spotted, and now Dave should have the green light to try and take out one. Getting the shots on the Kurtboy, but Kurtboy's going big. The assist comes through, so now Dave has earned the streaks, and TCM will drop as well. Back-to-back-to-back rounds for L7. And along with that, Dave has earned both of his streaks, finding the initial kill onto Nelson for the first blood, and along with the assist onto Kurtboy. And like I said, man, L7 relying on this man, Dave. It's now time for round number 9. The 4th round in a row that TMT will be on match point, and they are making a 4-man rush into the B-bomb site. If they can earn this information, they can give the call out to Dave, and he can call in a glide bomb. Question being, how fast can that call out come through? Kurtboy reveals his spot, and here comes the glide bomb, taking out 3 in a row. Nelson, the fastest 1v4 that you've seen in a while, as now a 4th round gain here for L7. And realistically, while the glide bomb serves the purpose, the first blood comes through, and I think just as soon as they have the ability, as soon as they have the hint or the notice that a plant's going down and B, the streak was called in. But generally when it comes down to it, I don't think the streak was totally needed. I totally understand the fact that you really want to kind of hold on to it and rock it, of course, but still, though. Keeping in mind, Mohximus as well has earned streaks. They have 3 streaks to work with and are about a kill away from having 4. Can we see the 5-0 comeback? Dave just happens to turn the corner, and Tiny is just right here. Here comes the glide bomb. Who's it going for? Counting your good graces, Mountain. Thank God that it exists. Little does Tiny know, just behind him, the bomb is being planted here from Tiny. The blue arrows will start to rotate toward, as we'll see who will try to make that entry point first. You see all 3 players trying to enter in from one side, checking every which corner they can. However, point number 7 is in the back. Mohximus could be spotting out this play. If he can make this rotation over, he could give the callouts. He could totally ruin this play. And he's starting to fire through the backside, finding nearly 1, but no, does get taken down. Uzi holding on the plant. Drops 1, starting to line up, finds 2, and finds 3. Uzi going big. Uzi is really bad at missing, finding 3 kills in a row to force the round 11. What was a 5-0 lead for TMT is now seeing overtime. And let's take a look at what streaks are in the arsenal for L7. Very close is Uzi. Davpadie's got a fighter pilot and is not far away from a mortar strike. Offense is now at hand here for TMT. They've got to feel the pressure, and they know that the streaks are available, and they've got to play passively. You can't really go for A. And so knowing that, they have a full 4-man stack inside of B, along with a top red position to look over at the A-bomb site. L7 is looking great in this situation, and here comes the fighter pilot to try to delay for as long as possible. Does it find any kills? It does not, but it at least halts the progression for TMT. All 4 players up, and the intensity starts to rise. 1 round to do it all, and how does it kick off? You see, the guys from TMT, they just don't want to risk it. They don't want to drop for the first blood. But Kurtboy tries to go for the plant. He realizes the fighter pilot's coming in. Pulling a James Bond at the moment. Not as far as 007, but for how sneaky that he is, trying to get this plant off. And this is huge. It's going to come down to a matter of seconds. TCM drops, but the plant is down. Here comes the mortar strike. Nelson falls, and just like that, it is Kurtboy in a 1v3. He sees RRemarks, but here comes the glide bomb. It does not take him out. Takes down RRemarks 1v2. Can Kurtboy keep the dream alive for TMT? Tries to take down 1, but it's not going to be there. The 5-0 comeback for L7 in the final map to close this one out in overtime to become your UMG Prime $750 4v4 Search and Destroy champions. Talk about a title, but talk about a comeback, man. L7, 5 rounds down, make a 6-round comeback. Unbelievable. Absolutely unreal. Take a look at this scorecard. I mean, just incredible. insane stuff. Woo! Wow. That is unreal. I mean, there's really nothing more to say than that, man. I mean, a 6-round comeback from L7. It looked to be over. I really was like, okay, this is like, I mean, if you want to go back and watch my commentary over like round 6 and round 7, I was like, okay, this is nice. Like, they're having some good moments. But once Dave got on that ability to earn those streaks, I mean, we talked about, I think it was in round 7 or round 8 where he earns that first blood onto Nelson. I mean, just huge moments that come through such certain moments that really totally turned the tide was really off of Dave's overall play. He was having some slow moments. He was having a very slow start to this game. But boy, did he bring it back. Boy, did L7 clutch up, which this was the whole talk about their entire tournament run so far, has really been off of these insane comebacks, these insane clutches. And they definitely did it here fully as a team, and you got to give massive props to them. Whether or not you're a fan of L7, they are able to make an insane win here, obviously, in for tonight's 4v4 Search and Destroy. I'm not going to lie, I've missed doing some Search and Destroy only tournaments. Of course, we've been doing our variant tournaments, our $200 minimums on Thursdays, but it was awesome to be able to cast this one tonight. Hopefully you guys obviously did enjoy the commentary. I know I was solo, but it's the way it is for right now. Thank you guys obviously for keeping with me. It was an awesome match to obviously commentate over, but still you got to give massive credit to both sides, TMT, L7. Of course, GG's to both of these teams, but when we talk about, I mean, a barn burner, a matchup for what is a prestigious final like this for $750 overall prize pool, that's the way that it should end, at least every time in my eyes. Of course, you're not going to see that happen very often, but if you guys are interested and want to watch back that series, you guys can obviously do so within a matter of days on our YouTube channel, of course, youtube.com/UMG.
Looking back when she was young,